At 88 years old, Bill Gaither is no longer keeping quiet. After years of staying silent in the face of internal conflicts, financial controversies, and sharp criticism within the entertainment industry, he's finally speaking up. Stories that were once brushed aside and accusations that went unanswered are now being addressed directly and candidly in his own words. The public no longer sees him as the flawless figure he once appeared to be. Instead, Bill Gaither now stands before the world as a complex man, shaped by both triumphs and mistakes. This moment marks the unraveling of everything that had been kept in the dark. In early 2024, gospel music forums lit up with explosive information, triggering intense backlash across the Christian music scene. A private recording reportedly made during a 2010 production suddenly resurfaced and went viral. In it, Gaither is heard expressing strong personal opinions. He criticized some of his fellow artists, calling them selfish, spiritually uncommitted, and more obsessed with fame than faith. This conversation had never been shared with the public before. As the recording gained traction, listeners quickly picked up on what appeared to be veiled references to specific artists who had appeared on the Gaither Homecoming series. Debate exploded across the Christian community, dividing fans and fellow performers alike. Around the same time, Sandi Patty, one of the show's long-standing stars, posted a personal reflection online. Though she didn't name anyone directly, her words hinted at the favoritism and unfair treatment she witnessed in the Christian music industry during the early 2000s. This prompted fans to speculate that her 2003 departure from the show may have had deeper roots than originally thought. While public discussion intensified, most of the artists involved chose to remain silent. Meanwhile, respected outlets like the Christian Post and Christianity Today began publishing in-depth reports about Gaither's leadership and the structure of his music empire. One story in particular recalled a financial dispute from the late 1990s involving a former senior staffer named Robert Clean. That complaint concerning transparency was handled quietly within the company and never disclosed to the public until now. In a rare 2025 interview, Bill Gaither finally addressed some of these long-whispered concerns. He admitted that, during the company's rapid growth, certain financial procedures had not been properly managed. However, he strongly denied any exploitation or personal misuse of funds. His honesty drew mixed reactions. Some longtime fans praised his openness, but others felt that coming clean after so many years lessened the impact of his words. The situation reached a boiling point, prompting several well-known artists to speak out. Michael English and Mark Lowry, both of whom had long histories with Gaither projects, shared supportive messages on social media. They credited Bill for shaping their careers and urged fans to look at the bigger picture. Yet online platforms, such as X and Christian music forums, continued to buzz with calls for answers, fueled by the trending hashtag #GaitherTruth. Supporters and critics alike demanded transparency on the financial and managerial practices within Gaither Music Company. The controversy escalated again after a leaked clip from an internal 2024 strategy meeting surfaced online. The video showed Gaither clearly stating his intent to retain full creative and business control over the Homecoming series, including its artists, branding, and direction. Although there was nothing inflammatory in his words, some interpreted them as signs of rigid leadership and an emphasis on business over worship. Rather than respond directly, Gaither chose to release a single official statement through his media team. In it, he reaffirmed his lifelong commitment to inspirational music and emphasized that serving the faith community remained the core mission of his work. While he didn't address each individual allegation, the announcement was seen as an effort to cool down the rising tension. Gaither Music Company began in the late 1980s as a small publishing firm created by Bill and Gloria Gaither to support their creative projects. Over the years, it grew into a vast enterprise covering music production, concert tours, television specials, online media, e-commerce, and more. Today, Gaither Management Group oversees concerts and touring, while Gaither Television Productions runs the acclaimed Homecoming series, The distribution side is handled by Gaither Music Group, which makes content available on platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, and SiriusXM internally. The company operates under a centralized structure almost every major decision goes through Bill Gaither and his trusted advisors. While this has helped maintain a consistent and recognizable brand, it's also led to criticism that the company restricts its artists' creative freedom. By 2025, the Gaither catalog had grown to include over 700 original songs written by Bill and Gloria. Many of these works like He Touched Me, Because He Lives, and The King Is Comin' are now considered foundational in modern Christian music, and their impact stretches far beyond the United States. The company has sold tens of millions of albums since the early 1990s, but along with its success came controversy. Critics began to question whether Gaither music had become too commercialized. From the early 2000s onward, some Christian leaders and cultural analysts pointed to rising ticket prices, large-scale merchandising, and a global business model that resembled mainstream entertainment companies more than traditional ministry. Data supported these concerns. Average ticket prices for homecoming events often ranged from $50 to $100, far exceeding the costs of most faith-based gatherings. One key issue often raised was the company's tight control over its talent roster. Artists like Mark Lowry, Guy Penrod, Michael English, and David Phelps had long and fruitful partnerships with Gaither Music. But when others left without explanation, fans were left wondering if those exits reflected deeper issues, perhaps related to creative limits or managerial disagreements. In addition to its music ventures, the company runs Gaither Family Resources, a multi-purpose center in Indiana that blends retail, education, and faith outreach. Meanwhile, Live Bait Productions, a children's animation studio led by Bill's son Benji Gaither, helps create digital media aimed at religious education for younger audiences. After building a large-scale organization with a distinctly personal stamp, Gaither's impact also extended into his private life, especially in how he managed the balance between his religious beliefs and personal choices. The Gaither family, consisting of Bill and Gloria Gaither, has long stood as a symbol of unity in the Christian artistic world. Since the early 1960s, their marriage and music have represented what it means to be a ministry family. With 3 children, Suzanne, Amy, and Benjamin, the Gaithers built a supportive environment where each family member contributed to both the business and creative sides of their work. Benjamin Gaither, also known as Benji, currently serves as the executive director of Live Bait Productions, which is the animation division of Gaither Music Company. With a strong background in digital content and educational animation, Benji has helped connect the Gaither brand to younger members of the faith community by creating content focused on religious education. Suzanne Gaither, the eldest daughter, mainly works in event management and logistics. She often coordinates the homecoming tour and helps organize faith-based seminars hosted by Gaither Family Resources in Indiana. Both Benji and Suzanne are active members of the family-run Gaither Music Company. However, Amy Gaither, the middle daughter, chose a different path. After finishing college in the late 1980s, Amy pursued a career in media outside of Christian music. In some public comments over the years, she expressed disagreements with how her family handled their artistic and business efforts. In a 1995 interview, Amy said that the pressure to keep up a public image had caused tension and conflict within the family. She later retracted this statement, and since then, Amy has rarely appeared in Gaither-related programs or projects. Beyond these personal differences, the Gaither family has also gone through some tough times. In the late 1980s, as the Homecoming series grew in size and financial success, some religious journalists speculated that the workload might be causing stress behind the scenes, though the family has never confirmed this. Former employees of the Gaither management group from that time said the long hours and concentration of power may have led to role conflicts among family members. Another lesser-known part of the family story involves a relative on Bill's father's side, James Gaither. He was mentioned in an independent investigative documentary released in early 2025. According to that report, James was Bill Gaither's cousin who left the Christian faith in the 1970s and moved to the West Coast. He was said to have lost contact with the family and later died in 1985. His name has never appeared in the Gaither family's public records. Still, in a recent interview with local media, Bill Gaither unexpectedly mentioned a relative who had been forgotten because of differing beliefs and life choices. Though he didn't name the person directly, many believe he was referring to James Gaither. This mention sparked conversations about how religious families manage internal differences. When moral values and faith are so central to their identity. As of 2025, official updates from Gaither Music Company confirm that the family continues to work in harmony within the business. Gloria Gaither remains the content advisor, while Benji and Suzanne manage operations and communications. New projects include expanding the Gaither TV Plus platform, launching an online music education system, and continuing a Christian education podcast for teens. As the family structure matured, it became clear how both the family and the business played vital roles in preserving the Gaither legacy. But Bill Gaither's influence wasn't limited to his family or company. It also touched the wider community, especially during times of tragedy. On July 26, 2024, a tragic plane crash deeply affected the American gospel music world. A Pilatus PC-12 Taser 47E light aircraft, carrying 7 people, crashed in Campbell County, Wyoming. The flight was en route from Nebraska City to Montana. Among those who died were 3 key members of the musical group, the Nellens Clark, Jason Clark, and Amber Nellen Kistler. They were traveling to a stopover before joining the Gaither Homecoming Alaska Cruise, a major annual event hosted by Gaither Music Company, according to the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB. The aircraft ran into bad weather and lost its communication signal about 5 minutes before crashing. Because the crash site was in a remote, mountainous area, rescue teams took over 24 hours to reach the scene. A large fire had broken out, making it even harder to investigate and collect data. The loss shook the Christian and gospel music communities. The Nellens had been a major influence for more than 30 years. They were inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame in 2016 and had won numerous awards, including 10 Dove Awards. The group had also worked closely with the Gaither Music Company on many music and video projects in the Homecoming series. Before the crash, members of the group had shared cheerful videos on social media, showing their excitement for the trip and performances ahead. This made the sudden loss even more shocking. 2 family members, Autumn Nellen Streetman and Jaime Streetman, were not on the flight. They found out about the crash only after arriving in Seattle, which was the cruise's departure point. The Gaither management group confirmed that the 2 were receiving emotional support from other artists and staff at the hotel. Several Homecoming artists held private memorials and issued public statements, calling for prayers and financial help for the victims' families. Initially, Bill Gaither did not release any public comment, which led to speculation in both professional media and on social networks. But after more than 2 months, in early October 2024, an official tribute video was posted on the Gaither Music channel. In the video, Bill Gaither looked back on his family's long-standing connection with the Nellens. Going back to the 1970s, he promised that their legacy would continue to be honored in upcoming projects and productions. The video quickly reached millions of views in less than a week and was seen by many journalists as a respectful and heartfelt farewell to a longtime musical partner. The Gaither Homecoming Alaska cruise, scheduled for July 27th to August 3rd, 2024, is still scheduled to take place as scheduled, but the opening program has been rescheduled to include a special memorial period, with the entire first segment dedicated to the memory of 3 members of the Nellens on stage and through internal media. Participating artists are united in expressing solidarity, sharing the loss, and continuing the message of music serving the community.